Welcome to working with patterns and working with brushes. So what I've got here, I'm just going to zoom this down just to fit the whole file and then the setting. So just Command 0 there. So here's my graphic. Now what you'll see is I've got it on its own layer. And I've got some other graphics there I just might get rid of first. So just make sure you just got the graphic. Really I should essentially smooth that off. And it looks pretty good just to make sure there's no white on there. But anyway, I've my graphic on a clean, transparent background, but I'm just turning this back on, just make sure that this is defined. Now all I need to do is I'm just going to use a selection, just a square selection is fine for this one, just so I can fit it in, and basically it could be the circle tool, but or circle selection, but that'll be fine, ellipse or square, whatever. And I'm going to, for a start, I'm going to define a brush. So what we do is just under the edit here, I come all the way down and define a brush. Now we've got pattern as well, but let's just define the brush first. Click on that, and I'm just going to call this Kiwi brush, probably, just so I don't get confused with anything else I'm doing. And I'd better make that say brush. That's great. Oops, spell it correctly would be good. And then I'm just going to go OK. So now, depending on whatever color I've got, let's see, I'll just deselect, I'll go OK, just delete that graphic. In fact, I'm just going to add a new file, new layer up here, and I can just click my layer here, change the color at any time, go to this one, that's great, and there you go. I've got my defined brush. So this could be any graphic you want to bring in. Now it's only just basically one tone, one color. And in fact, if I start blurring it, it's going to bleed in, but actually it's quite cool if you do that, because then you can go the other way. So if I get the white just there, great, it's come back. So a great way of doing a pattern or effect, I suppose, but this is a brush. So let's just actually delete that for the time being. Let's do it the other way. So here I am, and I'm going to define a pattern. So I do the same thing again, and I just go and make my selection, make sure you're on the right layer now, and just come back up here under edit, and you saw it here before, it was defined pattern. So I've got my pattern, and I'm just going to call that Kiwi. So I did one before, but I'll call this Kiwi 2, just so I don't destroy that one. And I can just deselect that, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to fill it basically with the pattern. So let's just create a new layer there. I might just turn this one off for the time being. So this will be the layer here. I'm not going to call it fill or anything like that, but I'm going to put the pattern there. So just, let's see, I'll make a selection, make it a little bit easier so we don't get too big here. Here's my selection to fill it with a color. In fact, I can use this color here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to come through here, and you see fill. I'll click on fill. And content aware, no, we don't want to do that. We want to go to pattern, and in the pattern here we've got two of these Kiwis. I'm going to go to Kiwi 2 this time, and 100% opacity, great, and I'll go OK. So here's my graphic, and of course, as you see, it's all color in this one. So one advantage when you're doing a pattern effect, which you can sort of play around as well, not going to worry about that, but really test out how you can play around with the pattern effect. You could actually put a few together, so you actually create your shape by the way you've got that selection. Nonetheless, there's our pattern effect. So we've looked at the brush, we've looked at the pattern. Now I'm going to come over here, and I've got another graphic which is making a few shapes. What I'm going to do just for a start is I'm going to just delete this one, and I'm going to turn these others on. Now what I've got is just a grey background in this case. Now what you do when you're making a shape here, for example, just the ball there, I might just highlight this one. You'll also notice that this layer is a little bit locked here because I wanted to lock it. I wanted to lock the pixels. So just to show you how this works, I'm going to just come up here, turn those off just for the meantime. And I'm just going to add one more layer in here. And just to make it nice and easy, convenient sake, so if I do that ball shape again, hold my Option key and my Shift key, I want to go out from the center. There we go. And I'm just going to fill it with that color. Option delete will do it, and there it is, and it's on its own layer. Now I'm going to deselect that, Command D on a Mac anyway, Control D I think on a PC, but I'm going to come back up here and lock the pixels for that layer. So if I click lock, you see it's got a lock in here. That means the only thing I can paint on is the graphic. It won't affect any of the transparent background. Remember, if I just turn that off, go down to the background here, it's on a transparent layer. So what I'm going to do with this one, I'm just going to paint it up a little bit to begin with. So just on the color there, I can just click on it just to actually want to get a lighter color to give it a bit of form. And I'm just going to use a brush. Now when you use brushes, if I click on the brush here and then come back and click on the brush here, you can get all sorts of different brushes, including the one we just had. Click on here and go over to the brushes on this side, and you can change around and get all sorts of effects, etc. So dry brushes, whatever, general brushes. If I open that up, there they go, etc. Anyway, what I want to do is get a soft round edge brush. That's fine, and I'm going to come back in here, make sure it's just a little bit smaller by using the bracket key, left bracket, to put it down there. Slightly lighter color, and there are. I'm not painting any of the background, only the graphic itself. I'm going to just click on here to go just to a darker color now, and do it the other way, and just come through here. Make the brush a little bit smaller now, and I want to put a little bit of reflected light at the background, so just get the color back up here again. I can use the color from here as well, and just a bit of background effect there. That's great. And maybe make the brush just a tiny bit bigger in this case, and just a little bit of reflected light there, maybe just a tiny bit smaller, and just bring it in through the side there. Just a bit of reflected light, and smaller once again, a bit of a highlight just in there, and then maybe just one real bright light just to get it pinging out. Bang, there you go. So I can just come back over here now, and I'm going to use my drop down to go to the mixer brush. So all I need to do is make sure, ideally it's hard. If it's not hard, you can actually just drag it through to the hardness. And if I just bring it through here, I'll click it to bring it in here. Just want to bring it down just a bit smaller, just make that selection. But if it was a soft edge brush, it would get a little bit of a fuzzy edge that is. So I just want to make sure that fits there, so you can see it's that size. I'm on the mixer brush just here, remember? Mixer brush. Come over here and just hold the Option key. So Option key or Alt on a PC, and go bang. And you see there it is up here. Now to really make this the maximum effect, I want to keep it dry heavy load, but please experiment with all the different effects. You've got lots here, and you can also change around with wet degrees and all sorts of things and flow, but have fun with it. So just on the graphic here, I'm going to come back just to my layers, and I'm just going to turn this layer off here and just go to another layer once more. And as I start painting, there's a crazy effect with the brush. Now why am I getting that? Well, basically just with brush settings, I've got, you can play with scatter, take that off, see how it changes there. You can play with smoothing, jitter count, effects to make it bigger or smaller, stepping, all sorts of things. So really play around with these, but if I do it now, you get a much smoother one. Really quite a 3D effect. So that's just one example of putting the brush together, and it can really go crazy with the brush that you've created. Now what you can also do is just with the brushes here, I can click down here, and just over the side you can basically just go and save your brush. So just new brush preset, and I'll call this, instead of hard round 150, maybe something easy to see, I'll call it just ball. Okay, so we will have it in our system in our presets. So you'll have that accessible, and there it is, and it's called ball. Okay, so you've got that one stored. Let's just go back to doing one more. So really with the layers, I'm just going to bring that out once more, but really, as you see, you can do absolutely anything you want. So in this case, I'm just going to drag that into the trash, drag the pattern effect into the trash as well, and see that effect is what I want to use at this stage, because I like that. This was just simply made up from one of the brush effects. Remember, you can turn on the brushes here, go to town with the brushes, use anything you want in order to get the right effect. I'll just bring this into the center just a little bit more. But what I want to do is, yes, you got it right, with my mixer brush, just come through here, make sure this is big enough. Might just use the brackets just to get a little bit bigger. Option key, and just to save it, and you'll see it up here. Now again, you can save it to your presets. I just click on that, and then the presets up there to save it. I'm not going to do that in this case, just to show how that works. And just on this graphic here, I'm just going to start painting it by, it's obviously sensitive, it goes softer as we start building up that graphic, whatever it might be. You're making some trees or backgrounds, whatever. So you can also use things like blurring into background, different layers to get different depth, whatever. But you can see how quickly you can put your own brushes together. So that's just a quick guide to putting brushes and using the pattern fills from just the selection of a brush from a graphic you've added in there through to the actual pattern fill itself, and then your own unique brushes with the mixer brush. So thank you for watching.